Zombie stories tend to surge during periods of social anxiety, often acting as metaphors for collective fear rather than individual villainy. Think of movies like The Dawn of the Dead, which uses the zombie apocalypse as a satire of consumer capitalism. Director George Romero portrays the undead wandering a shopping mall as a metaphor for how modern society reduces people to passive consumers, driven by habit and material desire. Then you have more modern stories like The Walking Dead, where the zombies are secondary and the true monsters are the survivors. And now DC Comics has revived their creator-owned mature readers publishing brand, Vertigo, to bring us Bleeding Hearts by Deniz Camp and Stipan Morian. This series takes place 10 years into a zombie apocalypse. Humanity is on the brink of extinction and the undead have formed their own communities of sorts. Now you may find yourself wondering why I'm talking about this comic, given that I tend to focus on DC's Absolute line of comics. The simple answer is that it's written by Deniz Camp, the writer of Absolute Martian Manhunter and the Ultimates over at Marvel. Camp's work is richly layered with symbolism and social commentary, so when I heard that he was going to be doing a zombie book about a zombie that learns that its heart has started beating again, I thought I knew what to expect. But this comic is actually very measured in its commentary, and you know what, I shouldn't have been surprised by that. Traditionally, zombies symbolise the fear of the mass, loss of individuality, institutional collapse, the sense that systems can be overwhelmed by sheer momentum, and the fact that we're 10 years into the apocalypse suggests that it began in 2016. If you cast your mind back in time, Brexit and Trump's first election victory both took place in 2016, and I think that this marked a moment where politics felt driven by collective emotional force rather than technocratic stability of sorts. Public discourse frequently describes this as a populist wave or movement. Populism centres the people as a unified body. Similarly, nationalism reinforces shared belonging. Both elevate collective identity over structures, and in zombie fiction, the horde is chaos, so I had assumed there'd be some not at all subtle commentary about the sharp turn to the right that took the world by storm in 2016. But that's not really the case. These zombies aren't a mindless mass of mouth breathers. The horde has built something new that favours the need of the collective rather than the individual. The zombies are the dominant social order, with very few humans left. These zombies communicate, organise and enforce rules. They are not mindless, they are structured. Most importantly, they assign each other names. Their identity is determined by their behaviour, specifically their most memorable act. Names reflect what one has done, not who one was. The main character of the book is called Mouse Pokes Golf Ball Out of Head Hole, or Poke for short. You can still see the hole in his head, but a pink flower is growing out of it now. And his best friend is called Mushrooms Grow Up All Over Like Little Forests, or Mush for short. The most important thing is that names can change based on new actions. Identity is conditional and socially assigned. For instance, one of their horde members is now called Finds Whole Family in Basement and Eats Them Himself Over Course of a Week, an act of greed and selfishness that sees him ostracised from the horde. Whenever he approaches the rest of the horde, they ignore him, pretending that they can hear barking dogs in the distance somewhere. So right off the bat, there's an anti-elite tone in the horde. Status is not inherited, identity is fluid, and reputation determines your place in their society. It would have been very easy to frame the horde as a populist movement and make the allegory of Poke's returning heartbeat signify him seeing the error of his ways, but that's not really what this is about, at least not entirely. Poke's new heartbeat suggests conscience, emotion, memory, and personal subjectivity. He starts to look at the horde and wonder if this is really the best way of life, or death, I suppose. Poke asks Mush if he's ever thought about the way life used to be before they were dead, and whether he feels troubled by the fact that they and their kind have nearly killed 10 billion people. But the thought had never crossed Mush's mind, and he dismisses it almost immediately. It's perhaps too early to say definitively, but based on this first issue, the story really seems to be more around the idea of unity versus individuality, free thinking versus following the crowd. The first issue really asks what happens when a society defines you only by your function within it, and you begin to feel something that doesn't belong to the group. Now, in terms of the actual plot, while humans are rare, that doesn't mean they're entirely absent. The book opens with a small group of survivors being chased by the horde, and several of them fail to escape. They get eaten alive, torn asunder by the horde, and Mush cheerfully scoffs down a mass of flesh. He saves some for Poke, but his newfound enlightenment makes it hard for him to eat the meat. To placate his friend, he just nibbles a handful of toes. The pair are clearly very good friends. Poke notes how he and Mush had both turned into the southwest, and they speculate that may have contributed to their friendship. Neither of them has any memory of their life before, and their early days are a little hazy. Poke first met Mush before he was called Mush, when he had accidentally shambled through a fire and was set alight. Poke stopped and put the flame out, saving his life. Both were damaged in the fire, but Mush suggested that they swap right arms, essentially a sign of their brotherhood, and the two have been inseparable since then. While wandering the wasteland together, the pair stumble upon a suburb called Bethlehem Gardens, and the name of this suburb is also ripe with meaning. Bethlehem obviously evokes Jesus Christ, his place of birth, and therefore hope, which is ironic in a world of the dead. Meanwhile, gardens suggest life and growth amid the decay. As a suburb, it also reflects the microcosm of society, with rules, hierarchy and collective norms now inhabited by zombies rather than humans. And in this context, the name mirrors Poke's own awakening, hinting at a rebirth, conscience and the possibility of life returning in unexpected forms. And I just want to linger on the religious imagery for a moment, because when Poke talks about his first awakening, after coming across a family in a basement whose father executed the children and left himself and his wife to be eaten alive by the zombies, it's contrasted by an image of a man being eaten alive by zombies in a church. Now, I'm not entirely sure of the message there, but I am certain that there is one. Let me know what you think in the comments below. While Poke and Mush root around the empty houses, Poke describes the thoughts and feelings he's been having. All of these things didn't appear out of nowhere, someone built them once upon a time. But Mush dismisses his introspective friend, saying they are what they are. And it's at this point that Poke comes face to face with two survivors, with one pointing a gun at his head, which is a very dramatic cliffhanger. So yes, overall I really enjoyed this comic, hence why I'm making this video. Poke's heartbeat, his conscience and his curiosity set him apart from the Horde, but they also isolate him. In a society that measures identity solely by action and adherence to the group, the emergence of interior life is dangerous, destabilizing, and also profoundly human. I'd say that Poke's awakening isn't just about the return of life to a dead body, it's about the possibility that even in a world of the undead, individuality, conscience and reflection might endure. Bleeding Hearts 1 is available now from all good comic shops. I would encourage you to research your local comic shop, and if you don't have one, I'm certain there are dozens of good stores nearby that would be happy to mail you your comics. If you're opposed to the idea of cluttering up your home with comic books, then you can get this one digitally from places like Amazon as well as Neon Ishiban. Personally, I prefer physical comics, but I do like the convenience of having thousands of comic books accessible from my phone. But you do what works best for you. Now, don't worry too much if you can't find this comic at your local comic shop. DC reported that the entire first print has sold out, but there may still be some copies on shelves. And if not, a second print has been announced and will be available on the 18th of March. Nothing too crazy went on with my physical collection this week, but Gosh Comics are having a special Batman event on Sunday with over 22,000 items on sale. This includes everything from Golden Age comics through to statues, props and memorabilia. My wallet is ready. Next time. When I return next week, we'll be diving into the Absolute Universe to talk about Absolute Batman 17, where the first of Joker's Arkham outpatients turns up in Gotham, Poison Ivy. Hope to see you then.